Hello and good morning. We are live on Facebook. Hallelujah. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you, Jesus, right? We have our prayer warriors in the house taking care of us this morning. Two mornings in a row, we weren't able to get the live stream hooked up, but we had the prayer warriors on.
We sure did.
Call, right? And look at us.
I think we're going to do this every single day because it worked.
It works, yes.
Well, prayer really always works. Prayer always works. And yeah, so thank you both. Thank you both for being here. Thank you all who have been following us and
wherever we're at. I'm going to YouTube. Where are you at?
I know they are. They're following fix. They're following us all around. And I had Patty. She's like, so can you tell me where you're going to be posting so I can plan for this? I'm like, girl, if we knew, right, we're not sending you on a scavenger hunt just for our clicks and giggles.
This is not the Connect Summit. Yes. On the Connect Summit, we sent everybody on a scavenger hunt, so it's kind of funny.
Yes. Well, hello, everybody. I'm Angel Tuccy, your media exposure specialist, your co-host for the morning show this morning.
And I am Tina Torres, the gratitude specialist and client retention expert. Thank you guys so much for being here, and thank you for your grace for the last 2 days when we had to pivot once again.
Right, that has definitely been the word of the month. So I realized that last night I was chatting with Eli, who does some networking events. He invited me. I said, well, so how often do you do this? So I can get it on my calendar.
Yeah.
And last night was my board meeting, which reminded me that it was a month ago that you were in San Diego. I popped over to Eli's Portland event, and then I had my board meeting here in Denver, and I was so excited. I'm like, look, we're just like teleporting and we're just zooming from
and
now I'm tired.
Now we have ZF.
Right, now we have ZF. Have you heard of ZF, Robert? Zoom fatigue.
It's a thing that me and Angel made up, but we're gonna make sure that it goes into the medical dictionary.
Well, I didn't even know it was a thing, and I've been experiencing it as well. So
really, yeah, we both went like, oh my God, I'm so tired. But all I've been doing was Zoom like all day. We're like,
yeah, ZF. Are you familiar with ZF? How about you, Tracy? Are you doing a lot of ZF?
I am, and I'm completely tired.
It's exhausting.
I'm so grateful to connect, but I have to step away. I have actually made time to step away. I put time in between because it's very real, very real.
You know, Angel, I think that might be
my thing.
That might be our problem, is because we do not put a half hour in between each of our.
You know, last week I had scheduled some exercise time. So I have a Peloton. So I was doing like every other day. I would go on the Peloton, then every other day I'd go outside, right? And this week I thought, after all those great self-care guests that we had on the show last week, I was doing some more time blocking to put that in. But of course, we've had our summit. I had my boot camp. We've just added like all these events. And even though we're not traveling to go to them, they're still quite time consuming, and they create like a whole other list of things that have to get done, all from this chair.
Yeah.
All from this chair.
So I don't know if you guys were watching the last couple of days, but we were both talking how our cushion on our chairs are like this big, and now they're like.
Because they never get a break. They never get a break to like bounce back all day.
See,
oh my God, I gotta show you what I got in the mail.
Oh, that's pretty nice. Ooh.
These are
Angel and Tina morning show mugs.
How do we get our hands on some of those?
We're gonna have to get them for all of our guests. Robert, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say that, you know, the problem really is when you talk about this Zoom fatigue is that before you would travel, you'd physically travel to events. So you had that opportunity, that little bit of a wind down, like on an airplane or whatever it may be at your hotel room, where you could catch up. Now we're just jumping from event to event to event because everybody in the world is cramming into the online space.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing. But as you stated, you do need to schedule some breaks in between as well.
Yeah, I think we definitely need some time. And also, we have a lot more guests and people joining our virtual summits than in live and in person.
Mm-hmm.
We had over 500 people on our first summit.
Right. You
I
don't
mean,
see those
who
kind of
gets
numbers.
500 people butts in seats?
Right.
That's
But
right.
without doing massive marketing, massive pushes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And begging people, please come. Like,
Multiple countries.
Yeah.
Right.
We had it because people are able to jump on. They don't have to get, daycare. They don't have to travel. They can just jump on.
That's right.
So I'm thinking the virtual thing is going to stick. I think we need to keep it around. I think we need to keep it around.
I think so.
Tracy, you do live broadcasting. Like, you broadcast your TV show. Are you guys still broadcasting? How are you guys pivoting for that?
We're not live. We always have. I produced the show, and then we send it. It gets in the can a week before, so we send it off a week before. So I mean, it's literally airing right after this show, on the Now Network at 9. So we just.
So how are you how are you doing that with your guests?
Well, we're getting creative, just like you said. We actually. For an example, this show that we just finished, we did a morning prayer call with Elaine Davis, who is a founder of Faith-Based EIP, which was, learning with horses. And we incorporate the Holy Spirit. It's just an amazing thing. But she was on, and it was such a powerful event. I actually recorded that session. We took some of that feed off, and we made a show out of it. And we taped the opening and the close with her via Zoom. And we did it that way. And then I also have guests just recording and sending me recordings. And I have an amazing co-producer that is so talented with the graphics that we're able to keep going. We haven't stopped. So
wow,
it's
good for you.
I told my friend,
guests coming on. So it's just, wow.
my next house will have a studio in it.
I actually built a studio in my house when this happened. I'm in my studio right now. I built the studio.
Yeah.
So Robert, you travel and speak. When is your next live event now on the calendar?
Well, so this is kind of interesting. You're right. I ended up actually canceling 6 events just because of everything going on. Most of those I shouldn't say 3 of those 6 have actually converted to virtual. So that's kind of nice. We're doing some pretty interesting things, still having the ability. Tina, I know you were on that event the other day where you can jump from table to table.
Yep.
And so I like the creativity of that. I'm actually pushed into, I'm speaking September now in Vegas, and that's the week before our TEDx. Our TEDx actually was supposed to be May 8th, but we pushed it out to September. And so that's impacting everyone. This current year, I'm not a TEDx speaker, but I am over all of branding and promotions. So I'm working with all the speakers. I have a huge lineup. So Tracy and even for you guys, Angel and Tina, I have
last minute.
Yeah, I have a Rolodex of like 35.
Robert, I think
TEDx
Angel and I can squeeze a TEDx in. I mean, we'll be okay.
You'll be able to do it. You'll be able to do it.
I think we can do that.
But I will announce. It's kind of premature, but I am lined up for next year. So I'll be speaking in Vegas on a TEDx stage next. It's going to be either May or June, as long as everything goes well. So it's pretty exciting. So that's my next event live in September. And then we'll see. I have 3 more in California at the tail end of the year. And then more importantly, this has allowed me to really start focusing on home base, right? Tina, you and I, we lead out in some masterminds over here, which obviously those, have been put on hold as well.
Well, I just went virtual. You know that, right? I just took.
I heard that the virtual masterminds are more successful than the in-person ones, and that they're probably going to, go.
And I've been doing
that's good because then, Robert, you don't have to travel down to Atlanta once a month.
That's the beautiful thing. Well, and as you know, I've been doing masterminds. That was really my pivot into the online space. So for 6 years, I've been doing online masterminds. But what I was just going to say, though, briefly, was just that we're finally focusing on home base. And so we're planning for some big stages with big speakers on this East Coast here. So pretty much from Charlotte all the way to Atlanta. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina. So it's kind of a direct line.
Tracy, where are you quarantining?
We're in Pueblo, West Colorado. So we're 2 hours south of you, Angel.
Yeah.
Oh, you're close. See, me and Robert are about an hour away. You guys are about 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had over 20 events get canceled between March, April, May, and now June events are being canceled as well. Most of them are being pushed just later into the year, which kind of freaks me out about what my end of the year schedule looks like.
Right.
But I did just have my first one, and because it's New York, they were going to be in May, they pushed it to July, and now they said, you know what, we're just going to do it next year. They're not even going to try and put it in this year. Of course, it's New York. Yeah. It's snowing again in Denver. Again.
It's snowing again?
Well, Tracy, is it snowing for you right now? No.
We kind of ran a banana belt. It's kind of nice.
Okay.
Maybe a light dusting tonight around 5, maybe.
So. No, it snowed it snowed Easter and the next day, Monday. So it didn't snow yesterday, but it's snowing good today.
And this isn't normal though, right?
I don't remember it ever snowing this often.
On Easter?
No, it
always snows on Easter, but
it's pretty cold. It was like 30 degrees here in North Carolina this morning when I took my dogs out. I was like, "Ooh, it's kind of cold outside."
For all my prayer warriors, right? My girls are flying back to Florida today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're moving their leases up at their apartment at the end of the month. So they have a new lease, a new apartment they're all scheduled to move into. Of course, none of us knew any about this happening. So so they're going home today. I'm bummed. They've been here for 3 weeks quarantining, which has been dynamite. But they're going home today to where it's warmer, probably where it's warmer.
Oh yeah, definitely a lot warmer. But I know you had a good time with them. I know you were able to, like we were talking about last night, you were able to play games and eat every day as a family.
Bread. We've eaten so much bread.
Bread. Just think of the gratitude here piece of this, Angel. Think of
cakes and
think of the way you're going to be able to
bread and rolls. I stopped wearing my wedding ring because my little fingers are little sausages.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, all right. Okay, so we're gonna I think get to know our guests. We didn't do rock, paper, scissors. You guys have a preference on who we interview first?
Oh, I'll let ladies go first.
Ladies go first.
I love him.
I know, such a gentleman.
And by the way, just as a little disclaimer, I'm having a screened-in porch built behind my home right now, and so if it gets a little noisy, I'll just mute out. But let me know if you're starting to hear power tools.
And by the way, he completely drew this out. Like he's an architect on top of all his other stuff.
I do everything. Yeah, I do everything.
I completely relate to you. We have done, my parents, they just moved to this beautiful home in Pueblo West on an acre. So we've been on an acre of dirt, and we did the landscaping through all of this. So we've got one more day today. So I've got dump trucks stopping things off right now as we speak. And
going back to the benefit of being online now, as I've been telling a few people that I've been speaking to, is that quite frankly, I can be casual on top and I can be wearing shorts and flip-flops on the bottom. I am wearing pants. I am wearing pants.
Did you see his Facebook message? He says, "Are clothes optional?" And I said, "Well, the top half."
Oh.
I mean, I do want to pull in an audience. I mean, I'm just saying, just kidding.
There would be the wrong type of morning show. That would turn our morning show into a nighttime.
We'll have to have the nighttime show, right?
Soap opera. It'll be a novella.
I've seen more gentlemen in button-down dress shirts and either shorts or underwear. Like that is their look now, and it just cracks me up. Like girls put on pants, right? They're yoga pants.
We put on pants.
It
might be yoga pants.
Comfy
pants. But we put pants on.
Oh my goodness. Okay, well, let's get to know Tracy a little bit better. She's actually announcing her book of courage, Believe and Be Heroic. She's a belief specialist, international speaker, author, sales team expert, child and family advocate. She's the co-host of the nationwide television show on the Now Network called The Path to Healing Show. For over 2 decades, she's managed, operated, and owned 3 40,000 square foot multi-million-dollar fitness facilities in Denver, Colorado. Wow. She was married to Reed, a champion athlete who co-owned and operated the business with her family until tragedy struck in 2012. and her husband died of a terrible disease. Her son Elijah was only 6 years old at the time. Since then, she and her son have co-founded a nonprofit, Elijah's Path to Healing Foundation, taking the message of hope and healing. And they are now traveling across the country to help families who have lost a parent, and they're taking it to schools, and they're working with equine facilities, and they're planning to launch their Believe and Be Heroic Tour featuring actually, I know that's probably actually been put on hold. Tracy, I know you had like these really big dreams and all these things that you guys were putting together, like renting a big old truck and traveling and doing this nationwide tour. Catch us up. How's that going? How'd you get here?
Well, we're definitely on the road physically, but you know, the beauty of this, you know, is it's so funny how, and you know, I am a believer, I'm a faith person, and it's so funny how God does things. Because if I thought I was going one direction, in about October, he hands me this television show, and I did not see that coming, right? And I now understand why. You know, could you imagine us out and about on it and doing what we were going to be doing in the middle of this pandemic? So he is so good if we just follow his leading. And so yeah, just receiving this television show has just launched and given us so much more reach. And to be able to, somebody just has to flip on a television show or go to a YouTube channel or whatever, and they're getting the help that they need. And that's always been our heart. I do believe that when this is kind of settled down, we'll be out and about really helping people pick up the pieces, because there's so much grief and loss happening right now. And unfortunately, we are experts in this. And so we're going to use what we've had and turn our tragedy into triumph. And that's just, you know, we don't even feel like it's an option. It's part of our healing process. So I know it seems like it's a heroic thing to do, but we just don't even see it as an option. It helps us because we're able to give back in the middle of all the mess that we were in. So yeah.
I remember when this TV opportunity came to you. And of course, you know, my background's media, and I'm like, yeah, all exposure, right, is good. Like, you have a chance to do a broadcast, but of course, like, at the time, it seemed like a distraction, like a diversion off of your true calling. But yeah, God is so good. Like, he saw this way in advance of what this needed to look like to prepare you to continue to share the message. So take us back a little bit about why you're on this journey.
Why I'm on this journey. Well, in 2012, as you heard Elaine, or not Elaine, I had Elaine Davis on my brain because we just did the show till late last night. But you know, back in 2012, I always call it, we thought we lost our happily ever after. We haven't, because we've kind of come back, and because of that, you know, we've really come to a place where, you know, we see so much grief out there and people don't understand it. You know, through the 7 years, I'm a pastor, but I had a pastor walk up to me within 2 months and say, "Are you over this yet?" And this thing called grief, people just don't understand. They really don't. I have so many widows and fatherless kids that they just don't understand what was going on. Our society wants to, you hurry up and over that. Grief is not something that you get over. It's something how you learn how to live with it and live through it and come out on the other side. And, you know, that's why I'm here. And that's why we're here doing what we're doing, in a nutshell. But, you know, it all is about the belief system. And, you know, my job is to not only help the widows and the fatherless, but to help everyone else know how to operate around those people and support them. And, you know, we're living in a country right now that is very divided. And my message of hope is to believe and be heroic. The belief part is to believe all things are possible and that you can come out of this thing. But the heroic piece is about us taking a step back, getting our little judgment glasses off, and just loving people through it and understanding each other on why do you think and believe what you believe, and respecting that. Because if you identify your perspective, the first thing you do, perspective is something that you attain by something that you either have learned or you've experienced. And all of us have experienced something completely different in our lifetime. And if we just step back and respect that, and then love each other forward, and maybe we can help elevate each other, right? And if we, you know, challenge our crisis of belief together, behaviors change. And so that's the whole journey that we're on. And that's why I'm here. I know that for a fact. And, you know, so, you know, in a nutshell, that's what we're here for. And my son is, boy, is he a rock star. He's sure coming into his thing, and he's 13 years old now. And he's on the television show with us, and he's bringing a message of hope, where I even had somebody teach him how to change a tire on the show, because if you don't have a dad, you don't get to experience those things. You just, So his whole journey is to bring forth those kind of messages and words of wisdom from incredible people like yourselves. And Angel, you and I have been talking about getting you on because you have such a fabulous story. I cannot wait. But yeah, that's why we're here. And I've got a book called I Can Finish Well. It brings forth my fitness background as well. So, you know, I'm sorry, I'm just a little tired. I've been praying and doing stuff all morning. So
we have ZF, right? We have the Zoom fatigue.
I didn't have my break in between.
Right? We do. We need those breaks. And, you know, even
have you noticed that all of our guests have taken their negative experience, their trials that they had to go through, and turn them into something huge, something big? And I know when you're going through those trials, I know when I was going through mine, I was saying, why me? Why? But now you can say, and now these people are all of our guests, like every single one of them have taken something that they have went through in their life, something so negative, so horrible in their life, and turned it into this big heroic thing where they're, you know, just like God does. He takes your trials and turns them into triumphs, right?
Everything.
Right. And even right now, right? I think that the whole world is going through some element of grief. Right?
Yeah.
We are grieving loss of routine,
jobs, money.
Yeah. Right. And so,
yeah, absolutely. And it's you know, and the funny thing is we as a society, we don't want to deal with it, but every single one of us we're going to be touched by it. Every single one of us. And if you understand it, it's not as scary if you just understand it. And I did a show about 3 weeks ago on the definition of grief. And I think a lot of people got a lot of revelation out of that. And it's not as scary if you understand it. And it just takes a person that's been through it, like all of us know, to kind of just say, hey, I'm just before you. Here's what I've learned. Take this and it's going to help you. And that's the whole point of it. And they have a statistic out there that says that if you use your loss, there's a statistic, if you use it for something good, you actually come out just triumphant. But if you don't, you have a really hard time actually succeeding in life. So I just really think God really, like he said, he turns everything for your good. So he puts this before you so you can help somebody else, which, you know,
and
it's
then
really,
he puts those people in your life that are a street or two ahead of you.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, come on, come walk this path. If you come this way, it's easier. And you're like, okay.
Which that, I mean, when you think about that, he puts people in your life who, what you said, a street or two ahead of you, which means you are in somebody's life a street or two ahead of them. Like that gives us purpose, like to remind us, like these people that we meet, there's no coincidence. It's not an accident. It's not random. That I'm, you know, somebody's a street ahead of me, and I need to be looking for that. But I'm also a street or two ahead for somebody.
Well, and that's the thing. We're actually all sitting in the same traffic, right? We're heading towards some of the same destinations, and we don't realize, like in this particular case, I have so many similarities with you, Tracy, that I can really, you know, we can empathize with one another. And so it's the fact that you may be just two cars ahead of me or 2 cars behind me, or quite frankly, we could be driving right beside each other and not actually realize it. So I love that analogy.
Yeah. So.
And I mean, we kind of do this, we do it for one another too, but you also have to realize too, that when you tell your story, like when I started telling my story, I was so afraid, like, I don't know why, but I was afraid, like, I don't want people to think that about me. I don't want people to know that I was depressed and that it almost took me out. But then you start sharing your story and all of these people come out and say, oh my God, thank you. I was going through that. And me too. And me too. And, you know, and it's very humbling. You're like, oh, I was supposed to.
Your story is the key, right? Your story, quite frankly, at the end of the day, it becomes your brand. And it becomes your product and service. And it's really just interesting that, by the way, did you plan, I just have to ask, did you plan that Tracy and I were both here, or did it just kind of fall into place?
Every single day, every single day, we have the perfect guest together.
It's amazing.
I have no idea how, I mean, it's God. It is God, because every single day, and And the first week it was like building, one of them, they were building off of each other and off of each other and off of each other. And we were like, what's going on?
Yeah. Well, it's so interesting because Tracy, you and I, we kind of follow the same circles. I've seen you on a couple other things. We've said hi, but we've never like physically met and had a conversation. And it's interesting because I speak constantly. My topic is built around mindset and grief, and how the two go hand in hand. And so it's amazing that, yeah, you're just, again, I'm resonating with.
Okay, well then I should read here. Hold on. Let me pull up your bio then, Robert. I'll introduce you and we'll just like do like this nice little tandem between.
Mine might be a little corporate spun, but yeah, that's all right.
I love Robert. Robert, I'll have him tell his story too, because I love his story. Him and I have gotten close over the last year, and he definitely has a good story.
Well, and you know, like you said, like the two of you had to get here in order to talk.
Yeah.
That's mine and Robert's story too. I think we met at the same
San Diego.
Yeah, that I met.
Where we met.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tina lives an hour from me here on the East Coast, but we met for the first time in San Diego.
Yeah, so we had dinner and he was like, so where do you live? And I'm like, oh, outside of Charlotte, like thinking that he doesn't have no idea where this is. And he's like, oh, I live in Greenville. And I'm like, oh. I said, we met in San Diego? What?
I know we met. Yeah, we met. That's the beauty, right? We meet all over the country. Okay, so Robert did put this little caveat. He's like, this is my canned intro, so feel free to dissect, right?
Yeah. Chop it up if you'd like, obviously.
Chop it up.
Well, I'm just gonna read the first few sentences and then we'll just bring you both into this conversation. But Robert Wall's been a professional business consultant, coach, and owner of businesses for over 24 years. He has created, bought, sold, and provided turnaround services for a multitude of businesses, ranging from franchise development, family-owned businesses, to Fortune 500 companies. And over the past 5 years, he started transitioning from traditional consulting to helping his clients launch their businesses and increase their exposure by personally branding themselves online. He says, you are the brand way before your business is. He's an expert at mindset, tapping into your true passion while creating a plan to monetize your calling. And he proudly calls Greenville, South Carolina, his home. All right. So I just read the beginning of it. So now we can go and talk about the grief. Like okay, so why where does the grief fit in for you, Robert?
So it's kind of interesting. I'm one of those just serial entrepreneurs. I've had my hands in a ton of things, and this goes all the way back to high school, right? So, I mean, quite frankly, I could tell a story of 30 plus years in the world of business, but really, I just want to focus on the fact that for the first 5 years when I left the military, so I was in the military for 6 years, United States Air Force. But and then I started a few businesses, and they really exploded in my particular area. I'm all about connection. I'm all about networking. And so at a very young age, I actually experienced success. The problem with that was I was still very young. I was in my my low to mid 20s at the time. And I took a lot of those things for granted. Quite frankly, I thought I was untouchable. Like a lot of entrepreneurs coming into the business, if they find success right away, anything I touched just seemed to just happen. And it was kind of that magic Midas touch, right? Everything I touched, I felt like it was turning to gold. And that, quite frankly, started to, even though I was a Christian, even though I was raised a certain way to treat people, it quite frankly, it does ingrain into us. And all of a sudden we find ourselves becoming extremely arrogant, and and aggressive, even in the world of business, and so that was something that I experienced, right? And it wasn't until July 5th, 2001, that my entire world flipped upside down. We were having our third child, my ex-wife at the time, so third child together, and everything went well through the pregnancy. There was a couple little things that they had identified, but then later they said everything was good. So here I am. I'm with my other two kids. I'm with the mother. I'm with my parents. We're all there at the hospital, and my third child, Elizabeth, she was born still. She wasn't making a sound. They had to stimulate her. There was all these things, you know, so it became instant chaos. But then, right, we heard that beautiful cry that we all expect as parents. And so I thought, oh, thank you, Lord. You know, we've made it through this. We've made it through this. I hear her. They said, you know, we're going to leave the room for about 30 minutes with her just to make sure she's okay. And then we'll be back with you. Well, about 15 minutes later, which seemed like forever, I was called into the hallway. And just the fact that they asked me, you know, Mr. Wall, would you like to step out into the hall? I mean, it was like, I can't even tell you the feeling that I had, right? It was overwhelming considering that here's everyone happy, we're rejoicing, we're celebrating the fact that Elizabeth has been born. And so I stepped into the hall, and to kind of speed up the story, they essentially told me that they've never seen anything quite like this. It's something that they're not familiar with. This is a hospital that had been around for 300 years, by the way, a very old hospital in Detroit. They haven't experienced this. They're going to bring in some specialists, but from what they can tell, she is terminally ill. And so my entire world changed in that moment. Kind of moving forward with the story, Elizabeth, we did lay her to rest in October 22nd, 2003. So she lived to be 2.5 years old, in which they diagnosed her to live only a couple months. So first and foremost, that was a blessing. It was a blessing in disguise, something that I didn't even, quite frankly, I took for granted during that time, because for those 2.5 years, like a lot of us that are experiencing these type of things, it was an unconditional love, but at the same time, it was my entire world. I was losing grasp on my businesses. I was losing grasp on my connection with just society, networking, everything. I was the president of a chamber of commerce in Michigan. I had to step down from that role. All these things actually happened so that I could take all my time and all my energy in care for my daughter. She was completely terminally ill. She couldn't walk, talk, speak, and she couldn't see. She was completely immobile, and I fed her through a feeding tube. So that was 2.5 years of my life. And you want to talk about a humbling experience, right? And so all of a sudden, I thought I was on top of the world and that I was untouchable. And God humbled me very, very quick. But there was even a bigger message in that, other than just being, you know, a little bit more humbling and sympathetic to the situation, and actually taking my business a little more serious at that particular time. What I found is that through that whole experience, when it came to the end and we laid her to rest, I went into a deep depression. My ex obviously did as well. But the stories that started to come forth. And it was just because they had always been there, but I wasn't asking the right questions, right? Tracy, I'm sure you talk about this a lot in the world of grief, is I could identify that there was a problem, but I wasn't asking the right questions. I was doing the same thing that you said, Tina. You know, woe is me. Why me? I'm a great father. I'm a businessman that likes to take care of my employees. I'm a Christian. Why are these things happening to me? And it wasn't until I realized why not, right? And so, and here's the biggest message in this that I'd like to share. In her care for almost 2 of those years, of the 2.5 years of her life, she was with hospice. She was on hospice the entire time because they didn't know when was going to, you know, what day was going to be her last breath. And one of the hospice therapists that actually would come twice a week and massage her joints and move her around and stimulate her, she was an atheist, but yet she had just a beautiful heart in care of others. What she didn't really know is that, quite frankly, she wasn't an atheist deep down, but that's the kind of another story. So what I'd just like to mention is my breakthrough moment where it changed everything in my business from that day forward, right? Going back from 2003 till now, is the fact that I started to realize all of these people that were impacted by my daughter's life. And I mean, I could go on and on. Quite frankly, I'm still finishing a book on it because I never wrote a book on it during that time. And there are countless. I actually have 11 individuals that have actually talked about their lives transforming and changing because of Elizabeth. including the
Oh.
fact that this therapist gave her life to Christ.
Oh
And
my,
so,
oh my goodness. Wow.
yeah.
I'm like waiting for I'm like, come on, Robert, tell
Yeah,
us
yeah.
the good news.
So here's the
This gives
amazing
me
thing.
like the chills. Like,
Yeah. Well, here's the amazing thing. And this was the breakthrough moment. And I actually want to leave this for everyone to actually ponder and think about with the grief that they're feeling in their life. It wasn't until I started to ask the questions of, not all the things that were going wrong, but all the good things, looking for the good things that were happening because of this, right? And it's the same thing you talk about, Tracy. And so what actually happened was I started to realize, and this is where my mindset shifted. I started to realize that if this little girl, she can't walk, she can't talk, she can't see, quite frankly, she was almost completely immobile. If she can be a testimony, if she can change lives, then all of us with the full ability that we have, why are we making excuses? And so
Tracy's over here going,
yeah.
yes.
And
yes.
that was my breakthrough moment. So I know it was a long drawn out story, but that right there, it changed everything about the way I do business. It changed everything about the way that I conduct my life. Quite frankly, getting a flat tire on the side of the road, losing some income, things like that. They're very, very minuscule when it comes to life, right? The cost of physical life and the fact that we're still here. We wake up every morning, we have breath. It means that God has me in place to change other people in this world, to help change their lives. I have to pay this forward. So in honor of Elizabeth coming to this earth and spending 2.5 years with me, that's how I'm changing this world. I have that ingrained in everything I do now.
I love that. You turned another like tragedy story. Like you turned it and you made something of it. And just like everybody with right now with the the coronavirus, and people are starting to send me things like, let's open up Georgia again and let's open up North Carolina, and who cares what they say? And I'm just like, stop. Why are you? It's not that more important to get out. Stay inside, keep yourself safe, but you got to be grateful for the things that you have. You have a house, you have warmth, you have food, you have family.
Yeah. And Tracy, you talked about grief being or actually appearing in all different forms, right? And we see that every day with our clients. That's ultimately at the end of the day, when I say that I'm a branding specialist, I actually take it to a whole nother level. I start with mindset and heart set, because if we can figure out who you are, and then we can figure out what your true passion is and what you want to deliver to this world, then we actually know to whom you want to serve. Yeah. And so those things are much more important to me on the front end than the actual physical marketing and all the visual things. That can happen later. But most people jump from product to product and service to service because they feel that by changing the products and services, they're going to have better results.
It's not the product. It's not the company. It's
absolutely. Yeah. It's the theme. It's the theme. And so quite frankly, it's really change of self.
Yeah.
Change of you before Tracy. You can actually. Yeah.
Tracy, your microphone there. Oh, we both hit it at the same time. There we go. Okay.
Hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. I completely agree with that. And the most valuable thing that we have is the person that's staring right back at you. And never forget that. I was in the gym. I'll tell you something really fast, because I think this is really, really important for all of us to remember. I was training a woman in the gym in 1992. Yes, I'm dating myself. Back in 1992, and she was doing a back extension. I'll never forget it, because I heard an audible voice say, "Take care of that." I made that, and that started me. That just changed my whole vision for my entire life. I took every person, and the incredible thing is, over 20 years, I watched people walk in defeated, believing something that wasn't true, while I'm this amazing person staring back at me, talented, but their belief system was really messed up on who they were because of 20 pounds. And I'm just going, wow. And so, it's just our most valuable asset we have in this world is each other. And if we remember, when we're looking in those eyes, who that incredible person is, and they have a story, and there's a reason they're here. And we don't take that for granted. It's very important that we don't do that, especially this United States is such an incredible place to live. And our forefathers, the incredible journey that they were on. And we are so, I don't want to say lucky, we're blessed to live here. And if we don't forget that as a nation, we don't forget that we need each other as a nation. It's just vital that we need to get back to that and respect each other and love each other and look back at those eyes and realize what a miracle each and every one of us are. Right.
Wow. I love how you have taken this and realized that you are definitely on your path. Yeah. All of this that has happened up until now, how you've been able to pivot, all the pieces that you have in place, it's really just been even more confirmation of what God has been telling you all these years. And now you're doing this with Elijah. You're doing this with your son. He was 6 years old. I saw a video of him dancing. He's turned into such a gentleman. I mean, he
was dancing with grandma
to dancing with his grandmother, right? Yeah.
Raising him up in this non-traditional way, right? And in allowing him to pour back out into the world. Like we're seeing this rise up of a new generation, almost like you were saying, Robert, like here, she couldn't move, she couldn't talk, she couldn't this, but here are these kids and they're young and they don't have all this. And like, what's our excuse? Like what's holding us back? If God can use that and God can use this, it's all up here. You're right. It's a lot of mindset, but tell me about like, how are you as a mom? Like, what is that? I don't know. Just give me because we're so proud of our kids and we want to give them that path and journey. But he was even able to take something because he lost his daddy, right? And he lost
his daddy. Yeah, he lost his daddy. But the true story in this is, 7 years out of this now is we were under a neural condition that we didn't know what was happening until 2 weeks before he died. So us as a family, Elijah and myself, were being pummeled by this disease. I call it the disease because Reed was an amazing man. This disease overtook his body and we were attacked. And so we both went through some major trauma. And for the fact that he just wants to get up and go after this. And, I seek God with my kid. And, I homeschool him because that's the path that we're on. And every day I just take it one bite at a time. Okay, what do we need to do today? What do we need to accomplish? I don't try to look too far down the road. I just worry about today. And I know God's got a plan for him. I trust it with all my heart. And I have released him literally into his hands. I'm overseeing his care, but he is released into God's hands. And he's got a huge calling on his life and he knows it. And, but he guards that. And so I'm just here to help cultivate that. And it's up to him and God to take him where he needs to be. So honestly, I trust God in his life. I have to. There's just been too many bumps and turns, and he has brought us through miracle after person, and he knows the way. He knows the path that each and every one of us need to be on. And I just have complete confidence he's going to get us there. So every day I get up and I have my meeting with God. I literally do. He's my director of my life. And I literally have a meeting with him and I address all things, and he brings me through every day. And that's how I have to live, because the tragedy we've been through, there was no other way for me to even pull myself out of this. I just had to one bite at a time, one step at a time.
I like that you say that God is like your board of directors, right? Like
he's my director of my life. He's my God. He's my director. Yeah.
You have to have your meeting every morning with him. Okay, what are we gonna do today?
I do, and you know what? Yeah, it's huge. And he just sit down and I just write out questions. I have a journal and I have my special cup. This is my heaven in business cup. And I literally sit down and I have my special cup and I put on worship music and I just have my quiet time. And it's not all me talking. I do a whole lot of listening. And I just take the time and I just know when it's time. And honestly, because I do that, if I don't do that, because I get busy, like we all can get busy, but if I just calm down and I slow down and I make sure, there's a scripture in Joshua 1:9 that says that they didn't consider God, they didn't consider the Lord in any of these matters. And it really was a tragic situation with the Gideonites, right? And so if you just consider him, it's so amazing. If I do that by noon, he actually handles most of my business and it comes to me, right? Yeah.
No, we have some, you have some beautiful, miraculous stories.
So many.
And Tracy, I know that you do a prayer call, and can we invite people to plug into that? How do you want people to connect with you and follow with you?
I kind of thought about this today, and if they need prayer or anything like that, my book is called I Can Finish Well, and I just really felt the Lord say, just keep it simple today. Again, I asked him about it. He says, if they need prayer, if they need to meet with you, you are a pastor, Tracy. Right now is a really hard time. Just give them this is easy. I Can Finish Well, right, is my name of my book, and we say this by faith, y'all. We say this by faith. I can finish well. This is an act and a stand of faith. All of us are going to finish well, right? We've been through 9/11 together. We're going through this together. We are going to get through this with God. All things are possible, right? But just remember, info@icanfinishwell.com. Email me. Let's connect up. I just want to keep it very easy and genuine today. I don't want it to be anything other than that. I'm here for you. And yes, you can join the prayer call if that's something you're interested in. I'll send you the codes. It's a Zoom call. I do watch it very closely, so I don't just announce the codes.
You're not getting Zoom bombed.
Yeah, I just don't announce the codes to anybody. But if you need that, we're there. It's available to you. We meet Monday through Friday for a half hour. It's been actually going over a little bit. We're just kind of flowing, and that's kind of where we're at. So if you need this, know that we're praying every single day. Or if you just need to email me a prayer request, I'm all over it. So I watch it, and that's what we do.
Tracy, what's your email address that they can email you?
It's info, I-N-F-O, I want to keep it easy, at icanfinishwell.com.
So at icanfinishwell.com.
Simple.
How about you, Robert? How can people follow up with you? How can they connect with you?
Well, quite frankly, obviously everyone has the ability to just do an initial consultation with me, and we can just talk about anything. We can pray together. We can talk about business, their current situation. We can even identify grief. And that's, Tracy, we definitely need to connect later, because there's so many things. I don't, by the way, I don't want to get on a tangent, but I do want to mention I'm working on a current project with a client, and it's called What is Jesus Doing? Rather than this whole premise of what, should we do or what would he do? Yeah. It's what is he doing in every single person's life. And so we're trying to bring all of the community together, especially business owners that are actually starting to build their entire.
Did he freeze?
I was gonna say, did he freeze up?
Yeah, I think he froze up.
Okay, just for me. All right, so he'll come back.
Yes.
He'll come back. I love, Tracy, your heart is just always been, just so, you just shine God's light everywhere you go. And it hasn't always been an easy walk, but you do it with such grace. And
I love the fact that you're bringing your son along with you on your journey.
Well, he gave me a vision of me and Elijah talking. I've seen a vision of Elijah and I talking to a sea of people. And if you think about it, that's what's happened with the show. He gave me that vision a long time ago, and it's me and him sitting down, and we're talking to all these people, and here we are, right? And it's just if there's so much joy if you just rest in him and just let him lead you in this path, because this life is a hard thing to navigate if you do it by yourself. But if you do it with him, the victory's always there. And you can.
What are Elijah's plans for him? What does he want to do when he grows up? What does he want to do?
Well, honestly, he's a rancher, and he wants a big ranch to live on. We actually are believing for a huge ranch, and it's a destination place to bring families to these horses and that kind of thing. But he's all ranch. He's all John Deere. But he's a speaker. You put him up on a stage and he's going to let it rip, and he wants to help these kids. He says, Mom, I'm going to help these kids and nothing's going to stop me. So nobody better try, because it's going to happen. So,
right. What 13-year-old, right? To have that
besides Daniel.
Daniel Bissonette, right? I think they were at the same
friends. They know each other. Yeah.
They've shared stages together. And again, these kids, they just have this mission and this path, and
don't you wish you had that when you were 13 years old?
Yeah, this generation that's coming up, if us parents would just stop and pay attention and really realize what's in front of us. God's doing something in this generation. It's going to be incredible to watch. But honestly, I'm just on assignment, and he is so fired up he's always been about the things of God. Even when he was little and he was a baby, I just heard on my heart that Elijah's brilliant in all my ways. And so he's always had this thing, and I even named him Elijah because the Lord kind of influenced that too. And if you know the story of Elijah, he's a hero of the faith, and Elijah is very much that. and he's already been touching so many lives with his life, and it's just pretty cool to watch. And he's just rising up into his own, and I'm just here to make sure, just keep him in there and keep him safe. This is his
You're
journey.
Like his herder. You keep him in the ranch.
I'm the shepherd. I'm one of them.
Keep him in his ranch.
He's the good shepherd, but I'm just the keep him safe. So
I was
around him just like a good mom would do,
I was hoping Robert was going to be able to pop back on, but I do have, he's got a calendar link if you want to hop on a Zoom call with him. He's offering a free consultation at Robert Max Wall, MaxWall.YouCanBook.me, robertmaxwall.youcanbook.me if you want to get that hour-long consultation. I don't know.
He's a phenomenal. I met him in San Diego, and we have been in touch and have. When we get on the phone, we're like, oh yeah, let's get on the phone for 30 minutes. It ends up being like 2 or 3 hours just because we have so many ideas. He's like, oh, I want you to do this. I want you to get on the TED Talk. I want you to, and we're just like, we have all these ideas together.
Have you done a TED Talk, Tracy?
I haven't.
Not
No,
yet?
I would though.
Right? Like, right now there's so much opportunity, and what we were saying, the visibility and the reach that we all have. In fact, on Easter Sunday, our pastor, he was talking about how the churches are empty, right? Like the tomb is empty, but never have they had the previous weeks leading up to how many people are watching, how many people are viewing, how many more people who may not have walked into a church, right, might be scrolling and having access. And so it is like, we are just exploding with connections and reach and getting our story out. And I think by not having all the hustle and bustle and not commuting and all these other distractions, like, we are truly being able to stay like in that faith, in our family, right, in our true purpose and calling, because there isn't anything else to do right now.
And he is making us be our true self, right? By closing down the hair salons and the nail salons. We really have to be our true selves now.
We do. And if
unfortunately for the high maintenance people, it's a little bit harder.
One of the things I tell a lot of my clients, or I have over the years, is begin with the end in mind. If we all really realize that this is kind of a really nice, valuable time, and if we take it seriously and we just kind of go, what do I want out of the end of this thing? Yeah. And I always believe that if you just begin with the end in mind,
he comes.
Your behaviors will follow. But go ahead. Go ahead. I want to hear him.
Robert, welcome back. We gave them your You Can Book Me link, but is there anything else you would like to say to our viewers?
Other than be careful that your internet and Zoom doesn't go out in the middle of a talk show. But wow, that was something. But anyways, I was glad I was able to at least get on from my phone and make the quick connection. No, I mean, the biggest thing is, I would just say, if there's something that's holding you back in life, right? Even if it's deep grief like loss, or it could be something even as simple as just maybe a bad experience with a business partner, or quite frankly, it could be a financial loss. Whatever that grief is, just know that we're giving you permission to accept that it's real, right? It's something that you have to identify the loss. You have to accept that it is what it is. It's something that's happened in your life. It's not something that you need to bury. It's not something that you need to hide or sweep under the rug. And as we've been speaking on the show, it's not something that, quite frankly, you need to get over. A lot of times people put a time limit on these things. They put a time limit on grief. And that's typically what makes us suppress it. And then, quite frankly, it ends up affecting us in our life without us even knowing it sometimes. So definitely talk to somebody about these things. Talk to a coach, a grief counselor, or somebody, just even a friend that just is there to listen. And so, quite frankly, I'm just letting the viewers know that is one of the most crucial things. People always think, what skill set do I need to learn in business? What's my next step, Rob? And I always say, let's just talk about you first. So really focus and invest in you. Once you know who you are and what your passion is, then you can take that grief and it can become the catalyst to move you forward with anything in life.
I love it. I love it. Well, it has been like, this was just one of those beautiful mornings where God breathed in our guests for today, right? He knew.
Something one more. If you want to know more about the Good Shepherd, in about 8 minutes, if you text 54244 now TV to 54244, we're doing a message on the Good Shepherd, my son and I. And if you can watch it on anything. So if you want to see more about that, you're in about 8 minutes, you're good to go. So
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. I think that right now there's a lot of grief, right? Over loss of something, right? And I think that having these two on here this morning was just beautiful. Of whatever it is that you're going through, there are resources, there are people, we're in this together, right? You're not doing this all by yourself. And so I'm just so grateful for the two of you. And yeah, we've had technology issues, but we keep pivoting, right?
That's it.
We're entrepreneurs.
Pivot wherever we have to do.
Yeah, whatever we have to do to get the word out and get the message out, we will not be stopped. And
that's true.
I am so grateful right now for technology, for Zoom, for live streaming, for us to be able to have this impact on the world during this pandemic. And Tracy and I said we would do this morning show like while we were in quarantine, not really knowing, like not having any clue for sure how long this is going to be, what is that next path in that direction. But I'll tell you what, it's just been a beautiful, collection of guests. Every time our two guests, they just complement each other so beautifully in some manner. I had somebody ask me, she's like, well, do you guys pre-plan the theme of the day? Like, we don't have to, right? We don't have to.
That's awesome.
It is just beautiful.
It's divine. It's driven. Yeah.
Together.
That's exactly how our television show comes together. It just seems to just come together, and you're just going, wow, we've got soup. It's awesome.
I love it.
Right?
I love it.
Stuff in, right? You got good stuff in and good stuff comes out. It is, I love that analogy. It is like soup, because people are like, well,
Angel and Tina soup.
are you winging it?
That's it.
I'm like, oh no, we have been preparing for this our entire life.
That's right. That's right.
Scripted, but it has definitely been prepared and God breathed. So Tina, what you got coming up?
So I'm Tina Torres, the gratitude specialist, your client retention expert. And today I'm going to give you $5 off my gratitude journal, because we all need a little bit of gratitude in our lives. So if you text the word gratitude to 26786, you can get $5 off the journal. It's regular $20. You get it for 15. It's a 365-day morning and nighttime journal, equipping you with a scripture every morning and a quote every night. So I thank you guys for being part of our show today.
Thank you.
Angel.
Right. So I am, of course, I'm the media exposure specialist. There's so much opportunity right now to stay connected to the world, to be in front of the wave instead of sitting back, wondering, waiting, and worrying. You can grab my complimentary guide on how to get started at makeyourbigimpact.com. That's makeyourbigimpact.com. Make Your Big Impact. And when you get there, you'll have a link to join our Media Mastery group. Next week, we're going to be giving tips all week long on how to create even more exposure, get your story out into the world, and to do it all from your heart, from your passion, and your home, right? You don't even have to leave home to do it. So go grab that guide at makeyourbigimpact.com. We've got
Thank you guys so much. We have, let me see, who do we have tomorrow? Look, this is my God calendar. So tomorrow we have Laura Wells. She's coming from Scotland. Scotland.
How fun. Oh,
right?
Fun.
And Dawn Bates, and she's coming from Argentina. We got some international speakers out here tomorrow morning, and hopefully we will be here live 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. So join us tomorrow on the Angel and Tina Morning Talk Show, where we bring a little brightness to start your morning. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning on Facebook Live. Thank you guys so much for your grace, and you guys have a wonderful, blessed day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.